What if the next world war doesn't begin with soldiers, but with a switch being turned off? Not a missile, not a gunshot, just silence. Entire cities going dark, planes grounded mid-route, hospitals flickering between life and death, and in that silence, a realization spreads faster than panic. The world doesn't run on power anymore. It depends on it. And once energy becomes a weapon, history doesn't just repeat itself, it mutates. This is the fate flip history, where we don't just study the past, we rewrite it. Imagine it starts quietly. Not with headlines, but with negotiations breaking down behind closed doors. A pipeline dispute, a rare mineral embargo, a temporary export restriction. Nothing dramatic, nothing that feels like the beginning of a global crisis. In fact, most people don't even notice, but markets do. Energy prices spike overnight. Governments scramble. Analysts go on television using calm voices to describe something they don't fully understand. Temporary volatility, they say. Geopolitical adjustment. But here's where it gets terrifying. Because energy is not just another resource. It is the bloodstream of civilization. And when the bloodstream is restricted, the body doesn't adapt. It begins to fail. Factories slow down first, production lines pause, then transportation follows. Ships sit idle, trucks stop moving, supermarket shelves grow thinner, not because food doesn't exist, but because it can't reach where it needs to go. And then something no one predicted happens. Countries don't declare war, they simply stop cooperating. One nation hoards its energy reserves, another retaliates by cutting access to critical minerals, a third forms a silent alliance, redirecting supply chains in secret. No treaties are signed, no announcements are made, but the world begins to split. Not into allies and enemies, but into energy-rich and energy-starved. And in this hidden timeline, power is no longer measured in armies, it's measured in watts. Now, zoom in. A family in a modern city wakes up to rolling blackouts. At first, it feels like an inconvenience. Phones die faster, elevators stop working, internet becomes unreliable. People joke about it online. Until the jokes stop. Because the blackouts last longer each day. A mother begins rationing electricity like it's food. Charging devices becomes a strategic decision. Nights grow darker. Streets become quieter. Fear becomes ambient. Not loud, not sudden, but constant. Meanwhile, across the world, in an energy-rich region, life continues almost normally. Lights are on, factories run, but something shifts in the air. There's a new confidence, a quiet understanding that they now hold leverage over everyone else. And that's how the global power shift begins, not with conquest, but with control. History has always taught us that wars are fought over land, ideology, or power. But in this alternate history, energy becomes all three at once. It dictates where people live, what they believe, and who survives. And then, inevitably, comes the first escalation, a cyber attack. Not on military systems, but on energy grids. Entire regions lose power in seconds. Governments deny involvement. Experts argue. But deep down, everyone understands. This is not an accident. This is a test. And once the first line is crossed, it becomes easier to cross the next. Energy infrastructure becomes the new battlefield. Pipelines sabotaged, power plants targeted, satellites disrupted. Each move carefully calculated to weaken, not destroy, because total destruction benefits no one. But controlled instability, that's power. Now think about this. What happens to democracy when energy becomes scarce? Do people still debate policies, or do they demand immediate survival? In this hidden timeline, governments begin to change. Emergency powers become permanent. Surveillance increases, not for control, but for efficiency. Citizens trade freedom for stability, not because they are forced to, but because they are afraid not to. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Civilization is far more fragile than we like to believe. We think we are advanced, independent, in control. But remove energy, and we don't go back a century. We collapse in weeks. And then something even darker unfolds. Energy-rich nations realize they don't need to fight wars at all. They can simply choose who gets to function. Entire economies become dependent not on innovation, but on access. Countries once considered powerful begin negotiating from positions of weakness, not because they lack intelligence or resources, but because they lack energy security. And the world map changes, not physically, but hierarchically. A new global order emerges, where influence is dictated by supply chains, not borders, where alliances are fluid, shifting with every shipment of fuel, every barrel, every megawatt. And in the middle of all this, ordinary people adapt. Some build local energy systems. Solar panels become more than environmental choices. They become survival tools. Communities form microgrids, creating small pockets of independence. Others don't have that luxury. They migrate, not because of war, but because of darkness. Entire populations move toward regions with stable energy, creating new social tensions. Cities expand uncontrollably, infrastructure strains, cultural clashes intensify, and then the tipping point. A single decision. One country decides to completely cut off energy exports to a rival bloc. Not partially, not temporarily, completely. The effect is immediate. Stock markets crash, governments panic, and for the first time, military options are openly discussed, not as a last resort, but as an inevitability. Because when energy becomes survival, survival justifies everything. But here's the paradox. Even in this moment, leaders hesitate, because a full-scale war would destroy the very infrastructure they are fighting to control. So the conflict remains in a constant state of almost war, a global tension that never fully explodes but never disappears. A world permanently on edge. Now, let me ask you something. If the greatest wars of the past were fought for power, and if the future wars are fought for energy, was conflict ever really about ideology at all? Or was it always about survival? And if the future wars are fought for energy, was conflict ever really about ideology at all? Or was it always about survival, disguised as something greater? And here's where it becomes truly unsettling, because in this alternate history, there is no clear ending, no decisive victory, no peace treaty. just a slow, ongoing reshaping of the world. A hidden timeline where power is invisible, wars are silent, and control is absolute. And maybe, just maybe, we're already closer to this reality than we think. Because the systems we rely on are more interconnected than ever, more efficient, more advanced, and more vulnerable. All it takes is one disruption, one decision, one moment where cooperation turns into competition and the world flips. So the question isn't whether energy wars could reshape the world again, it's whether they already are, and whether we're noticing it or just living through it. Was history inevitable, or is it always just one resource away from collapse? Tell me what you think.